Hello, my tea stirrers. Hello, hello, hello. Today, as in every night this week, we've been on Black History Month. So we're going to do Black History Month. We're going to do it all the way. We're going to talk about, see things that we know, but it's still our history. It's something for you to talk about with your kids. This is something that you know what we have been through as melanated people, as from Africa, from here, and what has been done to us as a people. We're not going to talk just that regular Black History one. We're going to talk things that people don't talk about. That's what we're going to do. So, if this is your first time here, please hit that subscribe button. Please help this channel grow. I would gladly appreciate it. Go ahead, hit it, hit it, hit it, hit it, hit it, hit it, hit it. Hey, my sisters. Hey, Miss Douglas. Hey, foot soldiers. Thank you for coming in, my sisters. Hit that subscribe button. And if you're watching it, the replay, don't forget to leave a comment. Leave a comment. I would like to hear from you. And if you're coming in, hit that like button. And if you're watching replay, still hit that like button. It don't cost you nothing. It don't cost you nothing. Hey, don't cost you nothing. We wait for a couple of more people to come on up in here. Then we're going to get this party started right. And I'm going to let a lot of it play unless somebody would like to come up and say something. But we're going to let a lot of this play so you can get an understanding. Hey, Casey. They got it down as I have nobody in my room. Yo, YouTube be messing with your numbers, boy. They mess with your numbers, something terrible. They got it down as 0. So I don't even know how many people is in here, but I can see. But they be messing with me. Don't forget, if you guys got any problem hearing it, let me know so I can adjust what I need to adjust. But we're going to get this party started. Whoever coming late is going to have to watch the replay. All right, let's go. Let's go. Hey, Red Queen. How you doing, Queen? How y'all doing? We getting ready to start this show. Are you ready? Are you ready for this? Are you ready? Okay, we're going to start now. We'll get this party started. Let's go.
A 100 years ago, long before television and mass tourism, there was only one way to see the world. Huge fairs were staged in every great city, bringing the world to the public. From Italian gondolas to African elephants. But it wasn't just animals and objects that were
Hey,
exhibited.
Kiana.
Live human beings were put on display. These were human zoos. These exhibitions were not meant just as entertainments. They were masterminded by scientists and designed to demonstrate the superiority of the white race.
The average white man is stronger of limb, fleeter of foot, clear of eye than the average yellow or red or black.
Human zoos taught the public that racism was scientific. This new science of race would inspire and feed the ideology of the Nazis, giving academic grounding to the 20th century's greatest atrocity. This is the story of the human zoos and their legacy, buried by history until now. Almost nothing is known about the people who were put in human zoos, but one man's story can be pieced together. His name was Ota Benga. He was a pygmy from the Congo. Ota Benga would pass through the hands of 4 of America's leading scientists: the anthropologist William McGee, the zoologist William Temple Hornaday, and Madison Grant, America's greatest racist and the author of Hitler's favorite book. But Ota Benga's journey to the human zoo would begin with the explorer Samuel Phillips Werner. At the beginning of the 20th century, Werner was one of the world's leading experts on pygmies. He'd even lived among them in the Congo.
My grandfather, he wanted to show the world that there were these people,
Mm-hmm.
acquaint their civilization with ours.
Yeah, okay.
He thought that this would be sensational.
He thought.
I don't
Okay.
think my grandfather would have liked this environment. It's too artificial for him.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm here to show you this picture that was taken of my grandfather, Werner. I think he's a rather handsome fellow. Well, he was very adventurous. Some thought it was to such an extreme that perhaps he...
Now, you know, oh, his grandfather's rather handsome, meaning that's why we still have racism today, because it goes down the line. You are of your father. It goes down the line. You have his picture up like he's a great man. Whatever.
he was a little daft or crazy, or a little bit like many in the Werner family have been over the years. He saw the pygmies as people who were very close to nature and had a wonderful knowledge.
Do you see how they justify this
who
shit?
ate what, and how they could cure diseases with various concoctions, and how to poison an elephant. You realize a single pygmy could bring down an entire bull elephant single-handedly.
And what, you got jealous?
I don't
Of
think
course.
any of us could do that.
Jealous as
In
usual.
1903, Werner got his chance to show pygmies to the world.
I don't think it's in there now. I think it's in here.
An anthropologist offered to pay him to bring pygmies to America.
17.
If he pulled off the feat, it could catapult Werner into the A-list of famous explorers, next to Stanley and
He's an
Livingstone.
A-list explorer.
But first, he had to meet his employer's list of demands.
Yeah, here we go. Here we are.
Exactly,
What is to be
Red
procured?
Queen.
Estimates of the cost. This is it. 1 pygmy patriarch or chief, 1 adult woman, preferably his wife, 1 adult man, preferably his son, 1 adult woman, the wife of the last or daughter of the first, one female youth unmarried, one female youth unmarried not nearly related to the last, 2 infants of women in the expedition, a priestess and a priest, or medicine doctors, preferably old. All of the above 12 to be pygmies. Oh, that's quite a list. Werner was actually thinking he could do this.
But Werner's amazing adventure was not unique. A century ago, before we could travel the world as tourists, the only way we could witness how other races lived was to visit an ethnic show, or human zoo, with live specimens that explorers had brought back for our entertainment.
We're talking about millions of people going to see these shows when they're at their peak in terms of scale, in terms of cost, in terms of the amount of investment that's going into them.
Human zoos were such a big draw that every major city had to stage one. Some of the most spectacular were in Paris, Chicago, Hamburg, and London. In 1924, King George V and Queen Mary inspected the live exhibits at the British Empire exhibition at Wembley. Everyone wanted to be in on the act.
Sometimes it's missionary people putting on the shows to raise funds for missionary activity. Sometimes it's very much entrepreneurs taking advantage, being able to import people and just make a bit of money. Sometimes it's anthropologists and they claim it's for scientific reasons. So there's absolutely no doubt that there is such a thing as race, and there's absolutely no shame or reluctance to talk about race.
And the exhibits became ever more extravagant. Eventually, explorers' tales were brought to life by recreating entire villages.
You see that?
Originally, often you just get, for example, a show within a local theatre and you go along for a couple of hours. Whereas by the later 19th century, you can often have hundreds, if not a couple of thousand people on a single site eating, and they're constantly on display.
Look at that. You can't even eat in peace.
One of the most popular British exhibitions was held in 1899. It was called Savage South Africa.
Jesus.
The natives were so keenly awaited that they were asked to perform to the crowds as soon as they stepped off the boat at Southampton Docks. By the time they made it to Earl's Court Exhibition Centre in London, their ringmasters were making them restage great battles from across the empire.
So, for example, one thing that they do is reconstruct a raid by Africans during the Matabele Wars. And there's actually a film of this, and it's some of the earliest footage of Africans on film. And you've got the Dutchmen lined up, and you've got the Africans coming in and kind of seeming to attack them. And it's very, very much in the vein of spectacular visual entertainment.
In the end, the show proved almost too popular.
Savage South Africa causes quite a stir because at one point women are banned from going into Earl's Court because they've supposedly been touching their natives.
Scientists were also desperate to get their hands on the natives. At the end of the 19th century, academics were only just beginning to study humankind in scientific terms. This new science of anthropology saw human zoos as an opportunity to investigate humanity close up. Living labs where they could study all of the races in one place.
Wow.
One of the first American anthropologists spotted the potential of human zoos and set his sights on building the biggest and most popular human zoo ever,
in the Bronx,
with more human specimens than any
New
other.
York.
His name was William McGee.
McGee always had to do everything bigger, more showy, and just in your face, I am the best. He was a stubborn, ambitious individual, but he was also one of the greatest and most well-known scientists of the last century.
They still justifying this
McGee's
shit.
human zoo would be more than spectacular public entertainment.
They still justify
McGee
it.
had a point to prove to the public.
What? What can that point be?
Those who know the races realize that the average white man is stronger of limb, fleeter of foot, clearer of eye, and far more enduring of body under stress of labor and hardship than the average yellow or red or black. Despite the special proficiency...
Did y'all hear them say they are stronger of limb, stronger under pressure? Did y'all hear that? Did you hear that? They stronger of all these things. But, oh gosh. Oh Lordy. Oh Lordy.
Along a few narrow lines, sometimes displayed by the lower types and drawn large in traveler's tale. What he wanted to do in St. Louis was show people how human beings had developed and how human cultures and races had developed. He decided to bring the extreme. He wanted to get the tallest people in the world, and he thought they were people from Patagonia, which is down at the tip of South America, okay? Since there was the tallest people in the world, he wanted the smallest people in the world. So he sent an expedition over to the Belgian Congo in that area to get pygmies. He wanted the Ainu, who were up in this island north of Japan, supposedly the hairiest people in the world. He also wanted what he considered the most primitive American Indian group.
They sound so proud taking
McGee
people
wanted the
out of their
Eskimo,
damn homes.
people from South Africa. Logistically, it was a nightmare.
The biggest nightmare belonged to McGee's special agent, the explorer and pygmy expert Samuel Phillips Werner.
He's an expert.
To bring back pygmies for McGee, he had to embark on a daredevil trip into the heart of Africa.
He was just excited by every bit of it. He was that kind of a guy. If you told him that a place was dangerous, he'd say, I want to go there. I have here an old map showing the world as it was at the time my grandfather made his voyages to Africa. My grandfather got on board a ship in New York, first went to London, and then all the way down the European coast and around Africa to the Congo River. And he made his way up the Congo River with steamers as far as it would go. But once he arrived at the area where the great waterfalls were, he had to hire a crew of natives to take everything by hand up thousands of feet of waterfall country.
He went through so much to steal
Now he had
people.
to encounter crocodiles and hippopotamuses that upset the boats. And some of the areas in the river, they had great whirlpools that would, if you fell into them or your boat went into them, you would completely drown.
Do we care?
You'd be thrown out
No.
the side of a cliff somewhere. He did actually get malaria, but he swore to the end of his days that he got that in the swamps of South Carolina, not in Africa.
But Werner's adventures would change the way the Western world saw race forever. In 1904, the anthropologist William McGee was putting the finishing touches to his human zoo. It was designed to be one of the largest scientific experiments ever undertaken. But before it had even begun, McGee was sure of the conclusion. It was designed to prove to the public that there was a hierarchy of races, with the white man at the top and everyone else beneath.
McGee was trying to develop a universalizing theory of human progress. And what he always did, and he always considered, like many other people at the time, was that no matter what you chose and what categories you used, whites were always, by definition, by default, better. He thought that whites had progressed and that other groups were stuck in the past, in a sense, and hadn't developed as much as white civilization.
McGee took Darwin's theory of evolution and bastardized it, creating a theory to explain the physical differences between races. Darwin saw humankind as one single species. McGee saw each race as a different stage in man's evolution, from the pygmy at the bottom towards the white man at the top.
right, guys, we're going to watch part two. We're going to keep this going. We're going to keep this going.
And for good reasons.
Why not be curious about the differences? So different places will have a very different culture and also very different biological adaptation to the particular environment. So of course, if you first met someone that is very different from you, this is something interesting. And the pygmies are very black, very curly hair, and very short. So when you see these differences, it's striking.
Because they were so different to whites, McGee believed that pygmies were a living missing link between apes and humans,
Have
the lowest
mercy.
rung of the evolutionary ladder.
I think this is basically the influence of the culture of the time. Perhaps for the Victorian mind, where men are always dressed and religion is very important and the morals are very established. You cannot understand the place that the culture is completely different. So, yeah, it would be very interesting to study them at that time, I think.
Now you see where they got Tarzan
Over in the
from.
Congo, the explorer Samuel Werner had been laid low for weeks with malaria. But he was about to come across the first of the pygmies on his shopping list.
It was on an occasion when he was going up the Congo River and the boat broke down, the steamboat, and the captain said it would take 2 weeks for the spare parts to come. And he was told by the captain that he shouldn't go into this area. They should all stay on the boat until they got the parts to fix it.
Hello,
Because
Rose
there
and
might be
Sharon.
cannibals
How
in
you
the area.
doing, love?
Well, that's all he had to tell my grandfather. They were cannibals. And boy, he was out there in a minute looking for them, wanting to talk to them, wanting to maybe share a meal with them. Who knows? And when he walked into one of their villages, he found that they had captured people in local tribal wars and were keeping them in cages. And some of them apparently even preparing for them to be eaten. That's when he encountered his first pygmy. My grandfather's first impressions were that the pygmy was a particularly fine specimen of the sort of people that he wanted to bring to St. Louis. And he asked the pygmy if he would like to go with him. The pygmy expressed that he'd rather take his chances with St. Louis than suffer being eaten by the cannibal tribe. My grandfather traded
how they
a
trick
roll
you.
of brass wire and some salt for the pygmy's freedom.
Do you see how they trick you? And look, we always get sold for nothing. We always get sold for nothing. You sold somebody for some salt and some wire. And you notice the way they tell the story, even though they tell the story, hey, Kiana, they make it sound, they don't make it sound so horrible. They don't make it sound so horrible. It's going to you got better chances. They don't make it sound like the tragedy that it really is. They make us like, oh, well, yeah, we took them. Oh, yeah, well, we got St. Louis. Don't worry, they won't eat you, but we'll throw some food at you. Them some clever people, boy. They clever, but they don't make it sound inhumane at all. I mean, they make it sound so human, like, y'all know what I mean.
The pygmy's name was Otabenga. I mean, I don't know for sure, but I think he had never seen white people before. And Werner offered him some water, and that sort of created an initial good impression. He spoke to Werner in his native Chaluba, which Werner understood and could speak back.
He gave
With
the
Otto
boy some
Benger's
water.
help, Werner managed to persuade 5 other pygmies to leave the Congo.
I know you
Nearly
did.
6 months after he started his mission, he was ready to make his return trip across the Atlantic.
Once he got to Matadi, he could get on a steamer that took him directly over to the United States through New Orleans. They had a stop in Cuba, by the way, in Havana along the way, probably to pick up some cigars.
I'm quite sure they did.
The journey was pretty uneventful, and the pygmies probably thought it was a very long journey, much longer than they were used to. And they also wanted to know how the boat was powered. They thought that it had a cage full of hippopotamuses down beneath it that were pedaling it along. And Werner showed them how the steam engine worked.
Oh, you're so sweet.
Mid-June 1904, the pygmies caught their first glimpse of America. They docked in New Orleans. Now it was the pygmies' turn to explore.
They marveled at the size of buildings, the way the streets were laid out, how complex things were, how people had houses full of bright and beautiful things. So it was very strange to them, but I don't think they had any fear.
While Werner recovered from his malaria, he sent the pygmies to St. Louis by rail.
Of course, that too was an amazing thing for them to be on a railroad train.
Yeah, setting them up, tricking them and
St.
setting
Louis,
them up.
the pygmies would be the anthropologist William McGee's most important example of an inferior race. But Werner, the explorer who'd lived among the pygmies, had come to a very different conclusion about them.
Pioneering in Central Africa. The major book written by my grandfather. Let me look in the index, on the chapter on pygmies in here. Of one fact, my experience and observation completely convinced me that these pygmies are human beings in every sense of the word.
Oh,
He
you
lived
want to throw
among
that in?
And so he knew about them.
McGee's Human Zoo was to be the centerpiece of a giant international exhibition, the St. Louis World's Fair. Since 1851, World Fairs had been held across the globe to celebrate human progress. They showed off the latest in culture and new inventions. In St. Louis, the first ice cream cone and Dr. Pepper soft drink were unveiled to the world. The fair would last 7 months, but today there's almost no trace left of this extravaganza.
Well, we would be about at the center point of our fabulous fair right here. We would be standing right next to Festival Hall, which was the huge auditorium with the huge dome larger than St. Peter's in Rome. People would come here and just take in the lovely view. And then below us is the Grand
Queen
Basin.
Mathis, how you
That
doing,
would have
love?
been dotted with all
Hey,
sorts of
no one.
gondolas,
It's okay.
swan boats, little lagoons would go off to the side to some of the other palaces. You could go around the fair on a donkey. There were even people on a giant turtle. There was an Irish village, Tyrolean Alps. Actually, they were artificial mountains that were constructed in the background. 20 million people visited our fair, so every day there would be hundreds of thousands of people here.
But in this celebration of human progress, McGee's 2,000 human exhibits were going to steal the show. His plan was coming together. He had already assembled 300 Filipinos. The Patagonian giants were on a boat from Liverpool to New York. 400 barbarian Igorots and Negritos were stranded in San Francisco waiting for the weather to clear. The hairy Ainu from Japan were making their way from Vancouver. But the most eagerly awaited were the pygmies.
Now, you know that's not
Pygmies
no
for the
picture.
World Fair. St. Louis Post-Dispatch, June 26, 1904.
Here are some career facts about African pygmies.
They live in forests. They are extremely shy.
They eat the flesh of wild animals killed with poison arrows.
They're extremely cunning and dexterous.
They're cruel, finding delight in torturing animals.
They have long heads, long, narrow faces,
and little red eyes set close together like those of ferrets.
They talk about it like we're not human. Do y'all hear? See, this is when they tell our story. They make it sound so human. Now, we just watching this because I want y'all to see we were the zoo. When we tell people we were the zoo, people don't believe us. But it's them telling the story. So they make it sound so humanizing. Hello, well, I'm gonna call you Jewel. Reason why they call history, because they're the storyteller. For his story was always written by the victor as history telling, also known as history. Oh yeah, but I just don't want y'all to get confused. Look how loving they look. Look how they say it. You know, but that's why we here. We gonna make it. No, this is not human. Like, these are human beings living in their own place. The nerve of you to say how they are. They are what they were because of where they live.
Their bodies are exceptionally hairy.
A pygmy has been known to eat 60 bananas at one meal.
They even got a sister.
Then ask for more.
If caught young, they are said to make excellent servants.
They seem to be...
Now, y'all know for a fact, these people are not from... See, this is where us black people F up at every time. This is where we F up. Now, we know the people is talking or paid people to talk. We already know this is not 1902. You ain't got glasses and all this stuff in 1902. Look how they threw the black lady up in there. What would possess you to have something to say about your own melanated people? And we still do this today. What did they do with all that money they made off that? Well, I don't know if they're going to explain it to here, but when we was put into the zoos, they literally was put like in a Bronx zoo and this zoo and that zoo. This fair was just basically showing you, showing off at the fair, but they was in the zoo. Yeah, shaking my head. You got that right, sister. But don't, like, if a Caucasian is watching this, they gonna make it sound like they did nothing wrong. So read between the lines. We just seeing that we are the zoo. Read between the lines. This ain't no human shit.
Controlled by an impulse that makes them delight in wickedness.
Makes them delight in
McGee's
wickedness.
exhibits would spend months living in an enclosure on the fairground. He wanted them to recreate their lives at home. They built houses, cooked authentic foods, kept animals they brought with them, performed traditional ceremonies and dances, and they wandered amongst the other exhibits. For visitors to the fair, it seemed as if the whole world had come to St. Louis, and the anthropological lessons were clear.
In many ways, it was a cool idea.
It was a cool idea. You hear that shit?
And so this is the people from Patagonia.
It was a cool
and so
idea.
You can see he wears shoes, and he's got trousers on and suspenders. So the pygmies would be more savage in this scheme of McGee's.
No, these people are some devils.
Naked. McGee thought that the pygmies looked like gorillas. They had a darker skin, which looked like gorillas' dark hair or chimpanzees' dark hair. They also had some ceremonies that would imitate the sounds of chimpanzees.
But for McGee, it wasn't just the pygmies' appearance that betrayed their inferior racial type, but their behavior.
They had certain kinds of religions that were thought to be really primitive. Here, they're illustrating a ceremonial decapitation. Now, probably the visitors would just, and you can see a couple of visitors in the back there, would probably think this is just a primitive rite, and they would take it as a sign of savageness rather than looking and seeing that we're performing rituals that say similar to Catholics would do in churches and things like that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
As the fair went on, Ota Benga began to draw the most attention. He was described in the press as a dwarfy black specimen of sad-eyed humanity.
Yeah, Red Queen.
But the pygmy was turning performer.
He used to get paid to smile for photographs and would get 5 cents and 25 cents and sign his autograph, which is how they made money there. The pygmies turned out to be great entrepreneurs, and they saw this as a diplomatic mission. It had nothing to do with racial categories. They were on a mission to the United States to demonstrate and to show Americans how cultured and civilized they were. They didn't realize that McGee was putting up signs that said they were savages. Never occurred to them.
Savages.
No matter what his subjects thought, McGee was able to draw the conclusions he wanted from his anthropological experiment. The results are contained in his original report. It's been hidden away for the best part of a century.
Exactly, Joe. I
Rarely
agree.
recovered from the archives.
He was described by McGee in his report as very typical because he was exactly the right height that everybody thought pygmies should be. And because he was the right skin color, and because he had filed teeth, it basically reinforced the stereotypes that people came to the fair with. So he became the archetype, the model, the perfect one.
In his report, McGee seems to have had no doubt that the pygmies were every bit as savage as he'd imagined.
Savage.
As the fair went on,
Hey,
the pygmies
original
were
son.
unwittingly
How you doing,
frustrating
love?
all of McGee's theories.
The pygmies
Don't forget to hit
used
that like
to go
button.
out, and one of their favorite things to do was buy cigars. They would get cigars every day, and one of the people in the Turkish pavilion would give it to him. And McGee used to get mad because pygmies are too primitive to smoke cigars. Therefore, he would take those away. In fact, the newspapers called him the overlord of the savage world. And then all the pygmies had top hats, and they used to wear them all the time. And that didn't coincide with the pictures and what they wanted to present at the fair.
For McGee, the misbehavior of the pygmies was the final straw. He believed his anthropological experiment had been scuppered, and that he'd failed to gather enough evidence for the superiority of the white race. A year after the fair, he would turn his back on humans and choose to study rocks instead. But by the time the fair closed in December 1904, and the savages were on their way home, 20 million people had passed through its gates, and most went away believing that anthropology had publicly demonstrated that the white race was superior. For them, racism had been given a scientific seal of approval, and scientific racism was now set to change the course of the 20th century. For almost a year, Ota Benga and the other pygmies had lived in America, exhibits in a human zoo. In 1905, the explorer Samuel Phillips Werner took them back to their home in the Congo. But Ota Benga found that he had no home to go back to.
He thought he would rejoin his tribe, which he found had been completely eliminated. So Werner suggested that maybe he would get along with the Batwa, and he, in fact, married a young woman from the Batwa. And she got bitten by a poisonous snake and died. And then the Batwa rejected him as being a bad influence on them. He felt a stranger. He felt like he was not accepted in his own land anymore.
Hey, misbehavior. I know. Here comes the next part, guys. I'm on it. I'm on it. I'm on it like the Green Hornet.
back to America.
Werner definitely did not want to do this. But Ota Benga threatened to jump in the river and be eaten by crocodiles if Werner didn't take him back to America.
You took him back to do what?
Which he thought was St. Louis. And Werner had to explain to him, no, there's a bigger city
New York. I knew it.
And that's where we're going.
Werner and Ota Benga left for America within weeks. This time, they made the 3,000-mile journey via Liverpool, transporting crates of live animals, parrots, monkeys, and snakes.
Look, they always
Werner
going
had
to take
his hands
stuff.
full.
And damn
But Ota
animals
Benga
was
found
minding
no
their
trouble
business.
passing the time.
Ota Benga discovered cigarettes on the steamship. And he kept going to the counter where cigarettes and whiskey were sold and imbibed at his pleasure and gave the bill to Werner.
But Werner's hoard of African artifacts failed to sell in New York, and he had to head to the South to ask his
Allow
relatives for
them to
money.
claim our story as their own example, as they are now able to
But
claim
Ota
our
Benga
story of
seemed
our
to be settling
ancient
into life in the
Egyptian
city.
ancestors, the ancient
He was
days of
amazed at
Pharaoh.
the height
Of
of the buildings. He was
course.
amazed at all the things that we're amazed about in New York. At one point when he was taken to the Hippodrome to see a society circus, he saw the baby elephant handing out programs. And he thought that was wonderful that the elephant had found a place to be engaged in some useful activity. And he started talking to the elephant. And the crowd was amazed that he could actually get the elephant to do things, which astounds me even to this day.
I'm quite sure it does.
Ota Benga imagined that he'd also be able to make a go of it in New York. Werner arranged accommodation for him in the American Museum of Natural History, where he thought Ota Benga would at least be safe.
I think my grandfather saw Ota Benga living a life as a performer, if you will.
Yeah.
Perhaps that's not the best life in the world, but at least it's better than being eaten alive in Africa.
Justify everything. Just like
But
today.
almost as soon as Werner left New York, other people began making plans for the pygmy. While living at the museum, Ota Benga came to the attention of William T. Hornaday, a conservationist who'd saved the American bison and was now the director of the Bronx Zoo. Hornaday offered to take Ota Benga off the museum's hands. He thought he was going to look after the zoo's elephants, but instead, he was going to be put back on public display.
Y'all knew y'all was putting
The
him back on
exhibition was
display.
that of a human being in a monkey cage.
New York Times, September 9th, 1906.
A human being in a monkey cage.
A human being happened to be a bushman.
One of a race that scientists do not rate high in the human scale.
But to the average non-scientific person in the crowd of sightseers,
There was something about the display that was unpleasant.
it is probably a good thing that Benga doesn't think very deeply.
If he did, it isn't likely that he was very proud of himself.
What do y'all mean he wasn't proud of himself? Do y'all hear this bullshit? Do y'all hear this bull crap? First of all, the people who went to see human beings in a freaking cage, and something is wrong with you. Something is wrong with you. But then again, they fresh out of slavery. They don't care. But look how they justify everything that they do, and they always make it seem like they did us a favor. We'll throw you some chitlins, some pig intestines. Eat that. You can't say we didn't feed you. So you fed very well. Come on.
He woke in the morning and found himself under the same roof.
With the orangutans and the monkeys, for that is where he really is.
On September the 8th, 1906, Hornaday put Ota Benga on display in the monkey house with a chimpanzee for a playmate. The sign read, "The Missing Link."
The missing link.
The entire episode had been swept under the carpet, but Anne Hornaday recently discovered the story. It was her great-uncle William T. Hornaday who had arranged the exhibition.
Mm-hmm.
When I first heard about it, I was appalled. And I asked my father about it, and he did remember hearing about this episode.
Really?
And
He was
remembered
appalled?
his mother being very upset about it.
Mm-hmm.
It was a public sensation. On a single day, 40,000 people turned up to see Ota Benga and the chimp.
40,000 people
Bushman
went to
shares
see a
cage
man
with
in
Bronx Park apes. Some laugh over his antics, many are not pleased. So, you know, it's not as if this went unremarked, and it didn't go uncriticized. And I think that's important to remember, too.
No, sorry.
The exhibition lasted only 2 weeks.
40,000
African
people
American
went there.
church ministers insisted that Ota Benga be released, not because the exhibition was racist, but because they thought the pygmy should be converted to Christianity. Ota Benga was now on offer to anyone who'd take him.
An asylum in Brooklyn had called, an African American group, charitable group, had called asking to bring him out there. Colored orphan home gets the pygmy. Ota Benga has left the New York Zoological Park in the Bronx and has been installed in the Howard Colored Orphan Asylum, Dean Street and Troy Avenue, Brooklyn. There it is hoped that by association with the colored children and their instructors, the pygmy may be civilized, so that when he goes back home, he will be able to teach his people.
Oh, wow. Thank you for telling us what civilization is.
Although an adult, Ota Benga was confined to an orphanage, hidden away from a public who had queued to see him. Exhibiting Ota Benga at the zoo had been designed not as a mere sideshow. The display had been masterminded by a man called Madison Grant, a wealthy conservationist who had founded the Bronx Zoo. He was also one of America's greatest racists.
Well, you think?
He had decided to put Ota Benga on display to educate the masses about scientific racism. When Madison Grant died in 1937, it is said that his family burned all of his papers.
I'm quite sure they
His
did.
remaining legacy is a book.
A rigid system of selection through the elimination of those who are weak or unfit, in other words, social failures, would solve the whole question in 100 years. Race feeling may be called prejudice by those whose careers are cramped by it, but it is a natural antipathy which serves to maintain the purity of type. If the melting pot is allowed to boil without control and deliberately blind ourselves to all distinctions of race, creed, or color, the type of Native American of colonial descent will become as extinct as the Athenian in the age of Pericles and the Viking in the days of Rollo.
So what is this book that you're reading?
This book is The Passing of the Great Race by Madison Grant, a classic of American racist literature.
The Passing of the Great Race was a bestseller when it was first published in 1916. It promoted the idea that the survival of the white master race, the Nordics, as Grant called them, was threatened by the lower races, so they had to be kept apart. Although Grant was only an amateur anthropologist, he was highly influential.
He was a player. He was an insider. He hobnobbed with the big scientists, and the big scientists agreed with him. This is someone who was a Yale graduate at Columbia Law School, and with the luxury of not having to work for a living because he was independently wealthy, he devoted himself full-time to early conservation, for which his work is generally admired, and early anthropology, for which, of course, is not admired.
Grant, a eugenicist, argued that evolution should not be left to chance.
Hey,
He lobbied for
Sandra,
laws
how
banning
you doing,
interracial
love?
marriages and limiting immigration, laws passed by people softened up by human zoos and now susceptible to Grant's arguments.
I see it,
The
Jules.
cross between
You're
a white
right.
man and an Indian is an Indian. The cross between a white man and a Negro is a Negro. The cross between a white man and a Hindu is a Hindu. And the cross between any of the three European races and a Jew is a Jew. When I read my students Madison Grant, and I read it angrily, My students say, why do you take such a personal interest in this? And I say, well, because it was my grandparents and great-grandparents that he was trying to keep out of the United States. It is a very personal story.
Yeah, you make it about you
for
again.
most Americans, in fact.
Y'all so full of it.
Grant's
Y'all so
argument
full of
found
it.
followers all over the world. In 1930, after the passing of the great race was translated into German, Grant was bestowed with what he regarded as one of his greatest honors.
He received a fan letter from an aspiring politician in Germany, which said, "Your
Yeah,
book is my
Keon.
Bible," signed Adolf Hitler. Grant's correspondence has disappeared. That letter is not with us anymore, but there is eyewitness testimony that he brandished this letter at people to show how great and how influential both he was and how seriously the Germans were taking his ideas, which is something he was proud of.
I'm quite sure.
He was a real by the way.
But you got that money.
Put that on your television.
But he owned the Bronx Zoo, and you inherited that money. Did you get that money back?
3 years after Hitler sent his letter to Madison Grant, he seized power in Germany and turned his hero's ideas into policy.
Once the Nazis adopted it and embraced it wholeheartedly, that caused a lot of Americans, although not all Americans, to rethink it. Some American scientists were saying things like, hey, the Germans are beating us at our own game. And
now, as you see, they always got to turn this about them. Now, I got one more to show you guys. One more to show you guys. I'm not going to keep you up all night, but just one more. But they always make it about them. Not how you went there, you stole the people, you stole the animals, you stole all these different things, and you paid with salt. What the hell are they going to do with the salt? But us folks, us kin folks, even till today, we take the smallest payout. Because when we didn't understand and appreciate that the nothing that we had was our something. To them, it was nothing. But if we was living there already before you came with all this stuff, we were good. We were good. We learned the laws of the land. We knew what animals to eat. We knew how to live with the alligators, the snakes, and all this other type of stuff. We learned. A cross between a Neanderthal Caucasian is a Rufus Mulatta Kaka. I'm saying everything wrong. And a Humdryas. What? But dang, you done said this a whole lot in that sentence, Jules. Okay, we got one more for you guys. And if anybody would like to come up and talk, I'm going to put the invite right after this last one. Uh-oh, what I do with it? Hold up. Hold up. Wait. Give me a second here. Give me a second here. Okay, we got one more.
Children and take them down to the swamp and leave them in pens. Like he said, the slave babies, the slaves who had babies, they would steal the babies during the course of the day. Sometimes the mothers weren't washing. I said, what do you mean babies? I said, you mean babies like 5 or 6 years old? He says, no. These babies, some would be infants, some would be a year old. He said some would be toddlers. He said they would grab these children and take them down to the swamp and leave them in pens, like little chicken coops. They would go down there at night, take these babies and tie them up because they hunted the big bull alligators. These big bull alligators were not raised on farms. They were in the wild. These alligators would weigh 600, 700, 800 pounds. Those are the ones they wanted. They would skin them, make the wallets, get the meat, do different things with them. He said, but what they were doing was tie them up, put a rope around their neck and around their torso, around here, and tie it tight. He said, the baby, I said, well, what would the babies be doing? He said, well, my grandfather said they'd be screaming. He said, what would you do? He said, just let them scream. He said, what they would do, it would help them to chum the water. He said, when they would throw the babies in, tied to this rope, he said, in a matter of minutes, he said, the alligators were on them. He said, the alligators would clamp his jaws on that child. As a matter of fact, once he clamped on him, he was really swallowed. You couldn't see anything but the rope. And we would pull the alligator in and tie his nose and hit him in the head with an axe, a pickaxe. He said we would then drag him to the shore. We'd drag him to the shore and leave him lay, and we would do it again, maybe 2 or 3 times a night. He said, I said, so what do you mean? He said, well, yeah, they were taking these babies and killing them for alligator bait. I said, so all these things I've been collecting, all these things I've been collecting are really, really something that I can really talk about and say they're of a truth. By what you say, he said, I'm telling you, he said, nobody wants to talk about it. He said, I'm only telling you because you're here. I may never hear from you again. He said, but these things actually depict the acts that they did to slave babies back in the Bayou country and down the south. They did this. They hunted alligators with these babies. That's why they call alligator bait.
The word nigger was created during slavery by oppressors of black people. The word was used to demean blacks by inferring that they were lazy, good-for-nothing, thieving individuals. They actually, even many years later during the Jim Crow era, created items using the N-word. Here you have niggerhead shrimp. Later on, they became a little bit more defined and called it Negro head shrimp. They also have here a can called nigger hair tobacco, which was just chewing tobacco or smoking tobacco. Today, many blacks use nigger as a term of endearment. Disrespect of self invites the same from others, especially when those being disrespected are willing to tolerate it. Know your history, lest we forget.
They have to track me down to produce Ain't No Nigga For Him, which was his first hit. Nigga in the street, nigga, we ain't gonna focus on how another nigga roll.
Here are some other items from the Jim Crow era. Here are a pair, just a box of nails, featuring a black man with his mouth gaped wide open. And these infamous twins, the Gold Dust twins, they sold detergents similar to a very popular detergent we would have today, showing these 2 little black babies who would come in and just twin babies that would just clean your house, sparkling clean. Here we have Gold Dust powder. You also have toys that were created for young white children. This is a dancing minstrel. While he's dancing, and it looks like a lot of fun, notice how his face looks. He's made to look like a devil. Children learned early on to loathe and disrespect blacks.
Yeah, I know, guys. I know. Yeah, strange fruit, baby. Yeah, Kiana. Mm-hmm. Look at they had the little kids there enjoying the show.
I think it's important that we recognize the abolitionists that played such an important role in freeing slaves. Yes, it was white people that put black people into slavery, but it was also white people that got them out of slavery.
Well,
We
why
did not
should
do
we
it
care?
alone,
We
and
shouldn't
could
have
not
been
done it
put in
without
slavery
the caring,
anyway.
compassionate whites who realized from the very beginning that slavery was wrong. And they realized that Africans were human beings that deserved.
Oh, wow. Give them some credit. I don't give them no credit. Did you know that on the pyramid walls there were paintings depict of Hamadryas baboon, who was not actually a baboon, but of the Rhesus Marquise family, serving food and waiting tables. This is why respirations is needed. We are scared, sacred. There is no intent to their cruelty. Strange fruit. Lord Jesus Christ, I can't hear this. But we ain't got that much more of this to go. And I would like for somebody to come up and have some say.
Deserve to be treated as such. And as a consequence, many of them lost their lives, they lost their properties,
Oh,
they
we
lost
don't
their
want to hear
fortunes,
about none of that, lady.
trying to do things that would free the slaves.
They ain't
One
do
of the
nothing.
things I think is real important to also recognize is that many of the women whose husbands were slave owners talked to their husbands and made them realize that what they were doing was wrong.
No, they didn't.
They would wear them down
No,
by
they
telling them
didn't. No,
that
they
really
did
wanted to make
not.
sure that these people were being.
I hate when they pay black people to lie. Do you honestly think they wanted to get their own lemonade? Do you honestly think they wanted them to get their own lemonade? Do you think when they had them big parties, do you think they wanted to cook? Do you think they wanted to serve their own guests? Do you think that they wanted to feed their own kids? Do you think they like the person that their husbands lust for? If they gave up the slave, that means now they got to do it. Bull crap. Lady, you was good until you try to humanize them. At this point, can't humanize them back then. You cannot. Sorry. Bull crap. If you haven't hit that like button, hit that like button. If this is your first time here and you're not subscribed, please click on that subscribe button right now. I would gladly appreciate it. Help this channel grow and click on that subscribe. Don't forget to leave a comment and hit that like. Thank you.
Taken care of properly, particularly the children. And many of them started selling off their slaves or freeing their slaves. The erosion of the black family is one of the vestiges of slavery that are still with us today. We in the black community need to bring our families back together. We women need to understand that a child deserves to have both a mother and a father. Women, allow and accept your man back into the home. And men, be worthy of being accepted back in the home. So, we've shared a lot of information with you, and you've seen a lot of different things, but they're just a small portion of what we have to offer you.
And we're here today as the curators of the Black Holocaust Museum to let you know that we want you to take heart in the things we've shown you, to understand that violence comes from violence. There are people back in the day who gave their lives, risked their lives, white and black, to see to it that you could go to school and do the things that you have to do. You must, in turn, be the best that you can be.
The information that we've shared with you can prevent you from becoming today's slave or today's slave master. I'm Gwen Ragsdale.
And I'm J. Justin Ragsdale.
We hope that you come and visit us at Lest We Forget, the Black Holocaust Museum of African American Slavery.
No, we don't want to
thank you.
Goodbye. 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 You sell out. You sell out. Sell out. Yeah, choking. See, if we can't tell the story because we're gonna tell it the way it's supposed to be. But to learn about the history, we gotta learn through them and see through the bullshit. See that alligator bait?
Video of a black guy talking to a store owner about the history of black babies being used as alligator bait. So what I'm going to do now is show you that not only was this done in this country, but in old newspapers, it was treated like a normal thing. Now, first, I'm going to go to the Roanoke Daily Times, and this was on Friday, June 20th, 1890. And, these newspapers are kind of old, so, it's not going to be as easy to read, but I'm going to go ahead and read it. Babies for crocodile bait. Babies wanted for crocodile bait will be returned alive, says a Kalon paper.
And return alive.
In Kalon as much as crocodiles do, advertisements worded like the foregoing will be combed in their one column. As it is, the English crocodile hunter has to secure his baby by personal solicitation. He's often successful, for Kalon parents, as a rule, have unbounded confidence in the hunters and will rent their babies out to be used as crocodile bait for a small consideration. Now, this doesn't make sense because any person in the right mind would not give their baby out to be used as crocodile bait. You already know, if you've seen the video that I talked about earlier, that the guy said that a lot of times they just took the babies, okay? And they didn't pay.
They cut them out the women's stomach. Tell the truth.
Okay, but right here it's saying that, the newspaper is saying that they came.
Tell the truth. A lot of women, they cut the baby out of your stomach and they took your baby. This is why I don't understand how the black man don't give the black woman a little bit more respect. If y'all too busy sitting there planning strategies of how y'all alpha and how you got to treat a woman and how you got to check a woman and how you got to keep a woman in her place. But you would never know what it is to have a baby in your belly and they cut it open and they don't even close the stomach. They sent you back there with the stomach cut open and then they sent you back to your people to heal it. And then next thing you know, your baby is catching a freaking let me see, but I had to look it up in the book of our story, the Old Testament quote. Am I a dog's head fighting on Judah's side? 2 Samuel 3:8. Okay, we'll check that out too. So Tell the truth. And then they said the baby will come back alive. Can you believe that one?
Parents, they have unbounded confidence that, you know, in the hunters. So basically that they'll return their babies. Ceylon crocodiles suffer greatly from ennui. They prefer to lie quite still, soothed by the sun's glittering rays, while away their lazy lives in meditation. But when a dark brown infant with curling toes sits on the bank and blinks at them, they throw off their cloak of laziness and make their preparations for a delicate morsel of Ceylonese humanity. So notice it says a dark brown infant. They use, you know, babies, black babies, as alligator bait. When the crocodile gets about halfway up the bank, the hunter, concealed behind some reeds, opens fire. And the hungry crocodile has his appetite and life taken away at the same time, the baby being brought home safely to its loving mama. Ceylon Catholic Messenger. So it says the baby being brought home safely to its loving mom and all that, but
lies.
Obviously, that didn't happen every time.
Of course not.
Okay.
Not with no crocodile.
That is a huge risk. You know, it says a hungry crocodile. You know, that's a huge risk to have a baby, you know, close to a crocodile, and then have somebody, you know, open fire and shoot while the baby's there. That's just ridiculous.
And can you imagine this? That's not even ridiculous. That's a catastrophe. But can you imagine all the babies that were killed for a pair? I don't know how a black man could ever put on a pair of alligator shoes. I don't understand how you can do it. That will make you the biggest laughing stock ever. Do you know your babies, even though it came out the woman's stomach, your babies was the first bait to get them shoes and the purses or whatever they made out of them crocodiles and alligators? There's no way I would ever put a crocodile anything on me or alligator nothing. We like the alligator belts and this and that. All the things that's precious, we were their bait for it. The gold, we was killed for it. The jewels and stuff, we didn't see value to the diamonds because we got plenty of them. We're on a continent full of it. We just seen it as a rock. When they learned all these different things, when they came to Africa, that they didn't have in their own country, in their own continent, and they saw the value, we were killed for these things. And then even till today, now we're killing each other for them things. So they told you that you were living in poverty. They told you, well, where you at? This is my whole continent. What do you mean it's poverty? This whole continent is out. We've been doing fine before you got here. But they tricked you into thinking that what you have was not enough. So they took some people to America or some of the Latin islands to show how beautiful things was. But that was just to trick you. Oh, we really don't got nothing. So when they took you back home, you were like, well, come on. It's beautiful. Us melanated people is not happy with nothing that the Creator gave us. We always getting tricked. And they justify it, and we like, okay.
The Washington Times, Saturday, June 13th, 1908. Bates alligators with pickaninnies. Zoo specimens coaxed to summer quarters by plump little Africans. New York, June 13th. Their greedy eyes eagerly fixed on two plump pickaninnies. The crocodiles and alligators in the New York Zoological Garden were decoyed from their winter quarters in the reptile house to the cool and shady tank just outside the building. It was the keeper's idea to bait the saurian with pickaninnies, knowing as he did their Epicurean fondness for the black man. Okay, so as two small colored children happened to drift through the reptile house among the throng of visitors, he pressed them into service. So the keeper or the zookeeper or whatever, basically it was his idea to use these two black children as crocodile bait. Now look at this. It says the two crocodiles and all but 4 of the 25 alligators wobbled out as quickly as they could after the ebony mites who darted around the tank, just as the pursuing fell with grunts of chagrin into the water, disappointed of their prey. 4 of the big alligators had to be lassoed and dragged to the summer quarters by ropes. One snapped at Snyder's leg and missed it by an inch. So these two black children, were basically used as alligator bait so that they could actually catch alligators and crocodiles. Okay, so and it says one snapped at Snyder's leg and missed it by an inch. These could have easily have ate the children. The Washington Times, January 28th, 1900. Branson of Knoxville, an American artist, really enjoys obscurity. The phenomenal success of a photograph styled alligator bait, and its interesting story. Branson was relating to the writer the history of the now famous Negro photograph alligator bait, a row of smiling Negro babies on the shore of a sandy bayou. His partner showed it to him, declaring that it would prove popular and had it copyrighted. Mr. Branson took no special interest in it, regarding it as clever, perhaps, or rather low art. And this story is related to show from what very small beginnings very popular pictures grow. This photograph was placed in the window in Knoxville, and a prize of few dollars offered for the best name that might be suggested for the picture. Titles came in thick and fast. One young man who was working in a hardware store nearby called in from the door, "Put me down for alligator bait."
Ooh.
So notice that
Ooh.
it says there's a photograph that's basically showing a row of smiling Negro babies on the shore of a sandy bayou.
Smiling Negro babies.
So as you can see,
smiling Negro babies.
Demonic.
It is
Because
demonic.
you have people painting photographs, painting pictures of our people, depicting them as alligator bait.
Smiling
and
babies.
It's not like anybody's saying, hey, there's something wrong with this. All right, they're just acting like it's a normal thing. The Richmond Dispatch, Tuesday, October 11th, 1898. A bootblack's little deal. A dispatch reporter Sunday morning witnessed a little deal on the corner of 7th and Broad Streets, in which the two parties interested in the speculation were dusky bootblacks, one being that of a size known as alligator bait, and the other a much larger specimen of the tribe. So notice that they are using this word alligator bait to refer to our people. The Times Dispatch, Richmond, Virginia, Friday, July 7th, 1905. Frank Crawford forsakes music for speech other cases. Joe Mitchell and Joe Johnson, 2 pieces of alligator bait, stole a chunk of lead and were whipped in the presence of Sergeant Thomas at the police court yesterday morning. So here it is again. Black people being referred to as alligator bait. So as you should clearly be able to see now, black babies were actually used as alligator bait back in this time period, and it was known as a common thing.
That paper says July 7th, 1905.
Referring to our people as alligator bait. Okay, because that's just how common
This
it
is
was.
almost done,
And
Yemi. This is almost done.
nobody thought this was like a crazy thing that was going on. It was just something that happened. And
Look at that. Look how they got the
say
kids
that-
sitting up
They
there.
said in one of the newspapers that they would actually return the babies alive.
Yeah, okay.
A lot of times that would not happen. Just
We
think
knew
about
that.
it. You got a baby that's close to an alligator. Okay. Now usually when you have bait,
They even got on a
that
postcard.
bait usually
Damn.
gets eaten. Like if you're going out fishing, usually the fish would catches on to the bait, and then that's how you draw them in. Now these alligators, like the guy said in that video I was talking about, they ate some of these babies whole. Okay, a lot of the babies did not get returned.
Listen, alligator hunting was very profitable in the 18 and 1900s. The skins were used to make shoes, bags, belts, and other items. However, white hunters often lost their arms and sometimes their lives as they rustled the swampy waters at night, attempting to attract alligators to the surface. So they decided to use slave babies as bait. This hinderous act was later characterized in sheet music, postcards, and figurines. Years later, a candy manufacturer of black licorice drops created a drastic advertisement that featured a hungry-looking alligator leering at a bug-eye. You see, they called us a bug-eye black baby. The ad read, "A dainty little morsel." For decades, the popularity candy was referred to as nigger babies. The name was later changed to Nibs and is still on the market today. So if you're eating a candy, or if you see a candy that is named Nibs, just let you know it stands for nigger baby. Don't ever eat that candy. Matter of fact, protest that candy. First of all, what did you need belt, shoes, and pocketbooks made out of alligator anyway? That bag and stuff was so important to you, you took the slave babies?
Turn back to their parents. So with the evidence shown in the newspapers, it should be clear that black people being used as alligator bait was a common thing that actually happened.
Woo! So that's some more black history they do not teach us. Okay, Yemi, girl, sound off.
I just find it utterly, I'm kind of vexed right now, because I did hear about this before, but when you see the newspapers and everything, and people saying that slavery didn't exist and all this, it just it actually confirms a lot of things. I'm surprised that no machetes, there haven't been no revenge happening on nobody, to be honest. I don't know whether I can say that on YouTube, but that's what I think, because like you ripped the baby out of the mother's belly, and then you go and use it as bait, and it's like it's nothing. So anything they do, it was like nothing. When they were killing people, hanging people, it was nothing. They didn't care. They didn't business. Like
and it justified.
We were just exactly, because like we were seen as just cargo. That's what it was, and that's the same thing with over here too. They have their little nasty little histories too, because they have plantations all over the place.
Well, you have to remember, this is when people make the mistake. We're still the same melanated people. They dropped us off everywhere. So all of them ain't nothing but cousins. Like France and England, they're all against one group of people. They came into an agreement to get them. let's get these melanated people. So all of our histories, we keep separating, but it's really the same. It's just the slave master treated these people like this because of this climate and what they could do in America, and then in the Latin America, or yeah, I said it right, Latin America, they treated people differently because of the climate there. Like they had them doing like the sugar cane, the coffee. Like we did the coffee, we made them daggone cigars and all them other things. So depending where they dropped us off at, we was being slaved by whatever the climate was. But everything is, if you notice, everything is justified. And they put a little nice spin to it.
Well, nothing's justified because, like, there is a level of slavery syndrome going on because, like you said, if people really checked out about the shoes, the leather shoes, the latest, right, they wouldn't buy leather shoes. They wouldn't eat certain sweets, you know, but it's all deliberate, really, because, like, to break a people, they break the people down first. They break you down to the small, like, they don't want you to rebel. So taking away the babies and, you know, boy, I don't know. I couldn't even put that in my mind right now, how that feels. It just goes to show you that how accepting we are of things, you know. We are very accepting. We don't come together because when you know the history of a people, they can be the most liberal, whatever people, but they're you know, it's just the mindset. It's like, why you were so evil, even on the ship coming up, which people saying, oh well, there's no ships in the sea because the ships made it. You know, the ones who did jump off, some jumped off with their babies and children because they knew on the other side it would not be good.
And they was aiding by the whales. That's why a lot of sharks and stuff still till today swim in the same areas where them slave ships was, the path of the slave ships. That's why you see a lot of whales there till today. So we were jumped off, or let's say you got sick on the boat and they figured that you was useless, they threw you off the boat. You know, but we have to understand, Black people have to understand, melanated people, we are still from the same place. You're like people in England and the Latin countries and Canada, until you realize that we are all the same. It's just that the crimes that was amongst us were different, but we still was all still stolen. There's no way that you could be in Canada with that cold weather and think that's your native country. There's no way. There's no way you're going to be in England with that cold weather and think that's your native country. You know, but we rather go, this our country, but we won't say to another melanated person, we won't say you our brother or you our sister. We won't say that, or we're gonna say cousins. You are cousins. You are distant relatives. Because most of us are we are distant relatives some way, somehow. We just got dropped off at different places. And this is what they're hoping for. That's why when we say Black people unite or melanated people unite, people always think that we're talking just about America. No, we only united when all of us that was on them ships can realize then we'll have some power. I don't appreciate that word neither, African diaspora. I don't like that word. Why got to be a diaspora and you got to be an African?
There's no difference.
Our forefathers is in that land right now. We distant cousins too. And the way they treat the Americans, I should never be called American if I go to Africa. Because if that's supposed to be my home. See, they got some work to do too. They got a lot of work to do too. That's why it's a problem, because when they see us, they, after what happened to us, even though a lot of things happened to them too, because that's how they did melanated people. That means all melanated people. But we are supposed to see each other with open arms. I don't care if we don't speak the same language. How do you claim Spanish? Okay, that's your native tongue, but that is not a race. Then, like, Hispanics get mad when you tell them that's not a race. Like I told somebody, I was joking with a Puerto Rican face. I'm like, yeah, no, that's where they dropped you at. But you're either Spaniard or you're either Spaniard or you are of melanated people, or you was mixed. But Puerto Rican is not a race. When they go check your block, if you just want to go get a ancestry thing, Puerto Rican is not going to come up.
Yeah, exactly. There would either be a slice or 10%, 9%, 90% of African something in you. But that's what I was saying on one panel ages ago, because there was a chat about the indigenous, and it was like a division. And I said that how you can't divide, because no matter which part you are, whether you're in America or not, because sorry, I think I lost my point. Sure.
Okay.
Anyway, take a breath. Yeah. Oh yeah. I said they won't see that how, oh yeah, right, we're from indigenous or we're from this. They just see black. That's it. They don't see nothing else. And I think there was issues with Africans and stuff, but I said I've never had problems with Africans, because Africans take you as you are. Like, you know, yes, there are bad. Yes, there are bad ones.
A lot don't. A lot do not. I'm sad. It's sad to say, because number one, it was so many different tribes there that they did not get along with. So here we come. So all we doing is picking up place. We never picked. Some people get ancestry. They get their ancestry done, so they'll go to the place where they're from. But we're mainly, our African ancestors is mainly from like the West Coast. The West Coast, like from West Africa or whatever. But when we go to them places, like what if we wasn't? So we don't even know where to go. So they don't see us as theirs. Because you probably is not from that. You probably from their tribe and go, hey, this is where my people is from. Maybe they will accept you. But they don't. They don't. When they see us as American. They think we got money. They think we live in lovely here. We are blood related to the rule of the thumb. We were for no two slaves speaking the same native tongue should be dropped off and so in the same slave. Exactly. They made sure they cut off communication, that we could not communicate. But what happened was, being that we were still from Africa or that region, because we still have, remember, we still from Israel too, which is still in Africa, but they don't want to remind us that we're from Israel also. What happened was, our soul is the same. Our soul is the same. That's why even when we couldn't talk to each other, they started like beating them drums, and they knew what to do. They knew how to move their body. They knew how to do that together. See, certain things you couldn't take away from us. That's why when they kicked us out of their church, that's when we got our voices. That's right, It's Me. And It's Me, don't forget to Watch the replay. Watch the replay. You understand what I'm saying? They didn't know that certain things we all have in common. That's why when people were like, "Oh, I got a Jamaican." How you think we rock with Jamaican music too? We hear the beat in it. No, your opinion is good. I was telling you to watch the replay because you didn't catch the beginning. So when they kicked us out, and that's why even when it comes down to the Latin music, a lot of their music come from the motherland. So
Yeah, that's true.
that's why when we hear that type of music, we don't know what language this is, but I guarantee you our body is going to move. Now you put on a Caucasian song, opera or something like that, you notice we're not going to move. We're gonna be like, what the hell is that? And we'll sit there and probably go to sleep, or we hear elevator. That's not our sound. That is not our sound. See, our music is what make us one. Our voices is what make us one. But we'll call it salsa. We'll call it bachata. We'll call it reggae. We'll call it hip hop. We'll call it soul music. We'll call it house music. It's all the same. It has that beat that resonate with our heart. But we don't want to notice that. We trying to figure out which music is better and why our music is not respected and all this other stuff. But you can go ahead.
Yeah, because I think the reason why also, like you said, because we were all split it up, because that was all deliberate. Like, you know, like in a past live, you and Dr. Amira spoke about the Willie Lynch. That was all deliberate because they wanted to break down the families because they didn't want the families to be connected or nothing at all. So even if like a family was on their plantation, like they would make sure that the family is broken up. And as much as I dislike Roots, everybody talks about how bad like Roots and Roots give a good example of that, where Kizzy was taken away from Kutakente and his wife and his wife. So it's like when they saw, especially when we get together, because even till now, when we get together as a people, they feel threatened. Like you're threatened because you threaten because like you want the division, you want us to be divided no matter what. So and some Africans are not educated on certain things, and they probably need to work out a few things because that's the first place they was going. They do their tests and all this stuff, and the children is used a lot. I mean, that example what you give was long time ago, but they're still doing it now in the Africas. They did the tests, and we know, right, I'm not going to mention the word because they might strike you, right? But they did certain tests in Congo and all this. So they always choose the black people is like the lab rats. When it's syphilis, they give it to you. When it's Tuskegee, they did the same thing. So, you know, they just I can't even put it into words right now, you know what I mean? It's just every time I hear about stuff, well, not that I've heard, that I've known about stuff like this before, the forbidden love between the master and the slave, but they tried to play it off like, oh yeah, but she was into it. No, she wasn't into it. You raped her. So, you know, you should be held accountable, but they won't be held accountable. Like last 20th century ago, I can't remember, 20,000, whatever, they were saying, oh, we're sorry, we're sorry, we're sorry. But yes, you still do the same thing. You still do the same thing that you always do. I don't know. This is a topic. This is a heavy topic, you know. It's a heavy topic. You know, the fact that they use the babies. Sorry, I'm going back to your subject matter. The babies as bait. You know what I mean? It's just crazy. I mean, the mother's going through a whole set of craziness, right? You're being raped by the master every single night. And then like you're being put with a stud and all this foolishness. Then like it's just crazy. It's just mad. It's just mad. And this is why I had to give all this Black History stuff sometimes a break. I like that's why I don't celebrate it, because I know so not so much, but what I know is just really damning. And they're not held accountable for nothing. And they're still doing it all now. Even with this virus, they're still saying, oh, like they still want to practice on us like lab rats and God knows what, and we're put in certain situations, and you know. So yeah, I'm going on. Sugar love. Sugar love. Oh, you talk about the good ship Jesus. Oh Lord, don't listen. They did so much things. They did so much things, and you know, they recorded everything. Are you on mute, Sugar love?
Oh, damn it. Y'all know I be on mute. I done spoke to Jewel. I done spoke to It's Me. I done spoke to you. And now I gotta say everything all over again. This is not right. This is not right. This is too much. Okay, It's Me saying I'm sorry. To me, no, they do, because they are some of them parts in Africa, they're still under British law. If you notice, when they go to court, they got them damn white wigs on and that robe on. I'm like, what the hell? They money is still got Queen Elizabeth on it. Some of them are still ruled by England, and they got England laws, and they follow England law. That's like when I see some of the churches. Sometimes I be watching my movies. I love my African movies now. I go, and sometimes they show like the church is still white Jesus is all up and down the church. I'm like, y'all is the country. Y'all is the continent. Y'all don't know. Hello, you don't know what color the picture belongs to? How do you know that? Are you so intelligent to know that Jesus was a Black man, but you let him? How did you? But out of you, I can see us. They brought us here. I could understand people that were shipped around. I could understand why the Spanish, because the Spain trained them. England trained us. You know, the Latin countries trained them. The French trained them. But you're the motherland. You're the motherland. They are not supposed to trick you to hang no white man up there. They're not supposed to trick you to the way they do the church. Then you need not to go into that church. And that's why, and they also showed you how to take money from your own people. Have you seen some of them pastors and them churches? They got mega churches out there in the poorest countries too. In the poorest countries, people ain't got nothing, but they give to them. They got mega churches out there too. Okay, Jules said it's still kept secretly locked away because he's logged who his ship cargo of slaves were and were they taken from, or they know who we really are. See, but it's hard. It's so hard for us to. It's like we know, but we scared to know. It's like we dipping our foot. All we doing is dipping our toe in the water, but we scared to go in. But we know that is not enough to drown us. We know we can swim in it, but we just gonna dip our toe in it, you know? It's something about our blood. That's why they want us to take tests. Well, first of all, it's the melanin. The melanin makes our compositions totally different. And then you got to remember who's best to experiment on. You're right, Red Queen. You should have pictures of your ancestors. And it's sad that a lot of my Latin brothers and sisters, you know, I watch so many different movies, and I also watch a lot of movies too. When they used to call it America, when they wasn't talking about North America, the United States, they talking about the other parts of South America, or whatever the hell. But the other parts of America were the Latin countries, they was called America. And you should have seen they was treated the same way by the white Spaniards. They was treated the same way. They try to rebel the same way. And they was taught Spanish too. And for them to denounce their distant cousins over here is baffling to me. Very baffling. Okay, Kiana said, I feel you, Yemi. So, Yemi, what else you got to say, darling? Because you on a roll.
Because I studied this before when I was part of Nation and stuff like that. So it's kind of deep still. So, yeah, it's The Forbidden Love. The Forbidden Love. There's a book that one of the slave owners wrote about the forbidden love of the slave women in particularly. So it just shows, there's no, like I said, accountability, none. Saying sorry, and even down to the Black Lives Matter thing, which is just like, I'm just rolling my eyes here. It's
okay. It's okay.
It's
I do the same thing.
It's just ridiculous because in this century, right, you think that how our black men would have stood up strong or whatever. There's even one time there was a Snapchat or something where the white women were saying that the guys were desperate, but I actually saw it in my face the other day. But they said they were desperate.
It. Well, after we're going to get into that. I don't even know, because being that this is a new page, I don't even know my email, right? I'm gonna give so we can DM each other.
Yeah, I'm on IG as well.
I just got this IG, which I didn't even know I had an IG. It was shocking when they said sign in. Somebody signed in, because see, none of this I made. It was either my daughter or my sister. I had nothing to do with MySpace, but it was created for me because I didn't care about the internet. Now you can't keep me off, right?
Yeah, you're like me.
But that's because I'm always learning something, though. Then I figured, why not create my own content than watch people content all day? See, that's the part people don't get. People like, oh, you so addicted to YouTube. Okay, what you want me to do? Watch somebody else content? I create my own content, and people can come share here, and they can watch what you hear. And you get to talk and chat with people, and you get to watch content.
Yep. Yep. I'm the same. I just got a big strike just a while ago for playing a BBC just to make for an example of my subject. And I was like, bro, they have me off for 2 weeks. I can't do nothing.
2 weeks? They gave me 3.5 months. That's why I had to make this channel, you hear me? And that was for a background Ashanti song. They gave you 2 little weeks, but you could have fought that though.
I did appeal it, but I don't know whether it's worth doing it. Right, but I did appeal it anyway. But it's just the subject matter. The videos was there. I didn't have to explain myself and all that because, sometimes you get tongue twisted because you've written all your notes and I just thought, okay. my daughter lent me her laptop and I can explain what I want to explain. Just like what you just did just a while ago. I just did that and they just strike me. So
Yeah, that's why I try to pick bootleg videos. I'm not picking up the good videos. But if you're doing commentary on it, that is fair use. But some of them big channels will still get you. That's why I gotta cross my fingers. So if I got 2 more days, if I'm blessed, then we're gonna get into more of, you know, the black woman against the black man. We definitely gotta get more into that and different type of subjects. So at nighttime, we're gonna do these stuff. Daytime. Don't forget, if you haven't hit that like. If you haven't, if it's your first time here, if you have not subscribed, please push that button. Push that button and subscribe. And do not forget, if you want to, leave a comment. Thank you so much, Red Queen. But there's so much more that you would like to see. But like she said, a lot of them, they got the best information is by these real channels. So they strike your behind in a minute. Then I try to find the oldest video. Maybe they're not thinking about it, but I try to find a video that was like done 11 years ago or something like that. Maybe they won't bother you, but you just got to cross your fingers. But these are the things that we should talk to our kids about. But the difference is talking to them about it is one thing. They have to see it. They have to physically see it. That's like my son. I let him watch that Roots when they whipped him and tell about he's Kunta, but that's something he needed to see because they talk about it and you read about it. Yeah, you know these things, but the feeling and emotion is not with it unless you see it. And we giving everybody all these great books to read. I'm like, that's a beautiful thing, but you got to find some of these shows or some of these movies. They need to see it so they can feel it. And they need to know how sly they is. I keep telling you, when we say devil just means liar and deceiver. And that's still what happened till today. None of our artists own anything. Everybody crying independent now. Independent only goes but so far. Independent only goes so far because if you want to go on that stage to sing, you still have to kiss their ring. If you want to be on a TV show, you still got to kiss their ring. You want to be on an award show, you still got to kiss their ring. There's no way around them, period. You may get more money and it's more work, but they figure, shit, we get them in other ways. How are they going to promote it? How are they going to promote it? Because what they're going to do, put a video out? The video still goes on our YouTube. You want to put the video out on TV? It still goes on our TV. You just want to put the video out on stream? It still goes under our. We don't own nothing. We don't own absolutely nothing, and we choose not to own nothing. You know what they got us owning now? Or partially owning? All these damn, this liquor. No, this liquor. I'm talking about the big boys. It's like they got us nothing but liquor we selling now. Liquor and wine. That's all we good for. That's all we good for. Oh, such and such. Just like they gave Jay-Z. Thank you so much, Red Queen. We'll be out of here in a little bit too. But thank you. Have a great night. See you tomorrow. Yes, and I be like old contract videos. It brings me back in time. Yeah, but what they do is they let you into the business to keep our black folks drinking. I'm like, how you didn't figure that out? Oh, this is Jay-Z drink. This is Puffy's drink. Yeah. This is 50's drink. Yeah, Snoop.
Snoop bought out a drink and he's supposed to be a so-called Rasta conscious man, right? He went all the way to
No,
Jamaica.
no, 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 no.
Snoop is still the same.
So they put out. They don't have nothing else but they. And then when you watch like Drink Champs, what do you see? Nothing but all of this, all that alcohol. All they just giving us alcohol. So they figure, and it's not because if they figure if they're gonna buy it, then let them buy it for us. They figure the higher ups figure let them stay drunk. You know what happened when people stay drunk. That's how they see it. And it's bad that we want a piece of the pie. So it might be good for them, but it's bad for us. And what else they got? Oh, and clothes.
Clothes and hair.
And makeup and the makeup.
And the nails.
Yeah, but they doing makeup right. It's like everybody got a makeup line. I be like, well, damn.
Mm-hmm.
It's like soon as you make money, they give you that starter's kit. A liquor, a wine, a makeup, but you gotta pass certain levels to get to the next level. Okay, you did the record level. Now you're gonna do this level. Now you're gonna do the clothes level. If the clothes level come, then you get the liquor level, or you get that level. But you gotta do a lot of things, honey. You gotta do a lot of things. If you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. I know where you're coming from on that level.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
So,
it's just, but also, what happens is that how people don't. It's like okay, fair enough. I'm on Instagram, right? I ain't gonna lie. Yeah, I'm on Facebook, but it's like, Sarah Boatman and people like that. And now you look at the young ladies now, and you just think to yourself, yeah, you just think this is like,
and they had her on display too. I'm like, well, damn.
Till she died of syphilis, isn't it? Was it syphilis or some kind of STD or something? She died.
I don't know how she passed away, but I do know how she was treated.
She was treated terrible, absolutely terrible, and they made dresses from her behind. I was like, it's like, okay, like you born in the black skin, but they teach you to hate your black skin. It's just like, it's like your shape. I mean, fair enough, I'm not a voluptuous woman myself, but that's how some women are made. But before, in the 90s, what I can remember, people used to make fun of all that and all that. And now, because there's ways where they can put filler here and filler there, they can go Germany, Portugal, whatever, get that size, what they wanted. After you was cussing all the women who was big or full size women naturally, it's just that it's like a phenomenon, and then they turn it into some little trend or something. And I think that's how Sarah Boatman was used as well, because of her body. They thought, okay, let's make a dress or a corset or something like that. Yeah.
And it's crazy that now that's the first thing little girls do now is they start saving their money, because once they figure they're developed, okay, I guess these boobs ain't gonna grow no bigger. Time to get the boobs. Time to get the stomach stuffed in. Put my stomach, the fat there. And we used to make a joke back in the days when we do like your stomach, when people's stomach was big and their butt was small, we was like they in the wrong place. Now they're taking the fat from your stomach, isn't that something, and putting it in your butt.
Can you imagine? And don't forget, Sugar, that lady who turned herself black. Remember Soul Man, that movie that came out? Now, when honestly, there's so many stories we can even talk about right here, right? But I won't go on because I don't want you to be on for ages. But Yes, remember that lady who was pulled, I can't remember, Russian or something, I can't remember. And she took some melanated, I think some kind of melanated something, and then she increased her breast, and then she said, "What? I'm black, and I'm gonna make a black baby." I was thinking, how is that even possible? It's not even possible. I mean, you can put as much melanin in your body, it's not gonna make no difference whatsoever. So there is a jealousy, and this is where black women gets it totally wrong, right? We hate each right. I'm not saying about the ones that are here, right, at present, not talking about present company, but the ones it's like we hate each other. We hate how we look. Oh, she's too skinny, she's too this, she's too that. Right. Right, you're supposed to praise the other woman, and not in a other way. I'm thinking, not in a homo way,
No,
but
but that's because it's not because how the women don't praise you. It's because the men don't love the black women. Because regardless of what you look like, if men was attracted to it, that's who they're attracted to. So if they was attracted to mainly dark-skinned girls, then light-skinned girls wouldn't have a chance because they're like, oh, I'm not dark enough. I'm not dark enough. Just like you got some women that's only attracted to dark-skinned men. So now the light-skinned men, they still waiting for a comeback, right? They still waiting for a comeback. But, you know, now is everything is a light-skinned woman and then it's a dark-skinned man. But now light-skinned woman is not enough. See, if you got to give me a reason why you love this Caucasian woman, I have no respect for you. Now, if you just say, I love her because, you know, we bonded or we started out as friends, see, that you can't control that. You can't control who you love. But to give 50 million reasons why you with her, and then give 50 million reasons why you don't like the black woman, why are we on your mind that much that you can't even enjoy your snow bunny? Why is it that? We on your mind, our attitudes are on your mind. So why are you even worried? Yeah, Beyonce has a new line. Her daughter crashed it. She came in up in there. But if you don't like her attitude, but why are you worried? You don't have to worry about it anymore. You a snow bunny. So why your videos are about us? It should be about the love of your snow bunny. Because I know I had a husband. I'm not going to be, and I truly love him. And he happened to be Caucasian. I'm not worrying about a black man, nothing. I'm talking about my husband now. So why? So we must be still on y'all. Y'all know something is in y'all mind that y'all know that y'all guilty of something, that we still on y'all mind. Y'all know what y'all saying. Yeah, y'all could all get together and pat your hands and then make it sound like, oh yeah, about the black woman is black woman. But why are we in the conversation? If we're not high value, we're not this, we're not that, and you got the woman that you want, why are we still on your mind?
It's true. It's true.
Because when a black woman get her white man, she brag about that man, honey. Oh, he's the best. Oh, he bought me the house. You don't hear her saying black men this and black men that. She brag about that white man. She ain't making no videos about no black men because she making a video. And a lot of these videos you see with these black women and these Caucasian men, you don't hear them mentioning nothing about no black man. You see them bigging up their white husbands. Oh, he works. Oh, he got a house. Oh, he loves me. Oh, we have such an understanding. You don't hear them making no video, but it's opposite when it's the black man who has a Caucasian woman. So y'all know y'all guilty. So that's why we stay on your mind. Why you worry about our attitude? Oh, because you got to go see your mama. Oh, because you got to go see your aunt. Oh, because you got to see your sisters, to the point they got to move away. They move out the country. And they still thinking about it. I thank you. But thank you. If you got anything last to say, I don't want to keep these people all night.
That's all right.
About the human zoo and we as Bates, would you like to give some last compliments on the video itself? But we got to bring it back to commentary about, the videos that we saw.
Take a deep breath. Yeah, it's very sad, and it's now it's documented and all that, so we know this has happened. Nobody can't deny that the babies wasn't used. Slavery was horrible on a full scale, with even taking the babies from their mothers. I think on that note, I'm gonna leave it because it's just too much. It's just.
And it's crazy because these are the things we know and we heard about. But like I said, I make it so that we don't forget. We don't forget. We don't get too comfortable. We don't forget. Because we need strong sons. We need strong daughters. They have to know. Because they're going to know somebody's history, aren't they? When they go to school, they're going to learn somebody's history, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
so
it's true.
So it's not like, oh, let's forget about it. No, because your books state, the books that you give them is history. You ain't forget about nothing. What's in them kids' history books? Something you want them to remember, right? So we need for them to remember our history too. Not just George Washington and this guy and that guy. No, we got some people too. We got some history too. And we ain't talking about our athletes neither. They want to make sure that only thing we know about our history is like the first this or no. We don't want to hear about Jordan no more. We don't want to, Tiger Woods just got to an accident. And then do you know that what's that man named Dick Gregory predicted that?
Is it?
Yep.
Really?
Yep. He predicted that. Let me see if I can find that really quick before we get on out of here, because I know I love to show what I'm talking about.
How do you know about that one?
Yeah.
I'm not exactly surprised, to be honest. I'm not surprised. I saw the news.
Man, long gone. He's long gone.
Yeah, I saw the news. I saw the news, and I didn't take notice of it because after he had a run-in with the wife, I didn't take much notice of him after that because he's doing what he's doing in it. So
Okay,
So
now watch this. Watch this.
yeah.
No, Dick Gregory long gone. He is long gone. But this is what the man said. Are y'all ready?
Yeah.
Are you ready? Yes, I'm ready.
Ready?
Are you ready? Yes,
Yes,
I'm ready. To love you, to hold you, to split you out. That's to be my favorite song. That's to be one of my favorite songs ever. I'm not lying. I could run that song. And then when you get older, you realize he wants to take her damn virginity. But that's like when you can hear Cruising with Smokey Robinson. You're like, oh, that's a beautiful song. And now that you're older, you realize he's talking about the essence of both of them coming. Yeah, that's what the song is about. Both of them coming at the same time. That's why he love it when they're cruising together. And then you get closer and closer and closer to that climax. This y'all gotta check out these old love songs now. When I got older, I said, when you got a new set of ears, you hear things different. I said, at least my man Marvin Gaye, even though it was songs done before Marvin Gaye, but at least Marvin Gaye, like this, let me just stop playing. This when I get that feeling, I want the sexual healing. I'm like, yes, they ain't tricked me like the rest of the guys did it. Now check this out. Check this out, guys. This is the last one.
Oh, Bill Cosby. What's going on with him? The scandal. Do you believe it? Do you not believe it?
No, if you think I would sit here, if I would tell you I believe it, I wouldn't tell you. I don't know you that well.
No.
But I know it's a trick. You've been here long enough, no athlete can do anything they want to do, and nothing happens to them. Huh?
Right.
Big business pay the government $10 billion, but they don't have to admit they broke a law. Huh?
Huh?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's 2015.
DeSantis, bottled water, Coca-Cola. The largest fine in the history of Europe. They was fined $900 million because they take ordinary tap water, purified with benzene and another poison. Nobody goes to jail. Nobody goes to jail. And so consequently, let's look at Bill Cosby. Where'd they find all these women? They didn't know each other. And when they finally bring the judge in and open up the records, that happened after the 4th of July holiday. Judges don't work on the weekends. So where'd it come from? It came after all the barbecues and the trumpet was back home. Here it is. The judge. Here's what the judge said. Told Bill, you should get you some more lawyers. The judge said that. Why? Because the judge said, well, give me a reason why I shouldn't open these up. He said it would embarrass Bill's family. His lawyers said that. What about the women?
Right.
Okay. But here's what happened. Bill Cosby was getting ready to buy NBC. White supremacy came in and said, I have a right to. Well, you see, there's a thing called racist white folks giving them a liberation holiday. That's what Cosby's show was. He didn't know it. Huh? You ever met a black person named Huxtable? Dr. Huxtable? Huh?
I'm sorry, I haven't.
Okay. That name don't threaten white folks. Huh? So when you put this show on and come out with facts, white folk can't wait to get the Bill Cosby show. And so what you dig is complaining about, if it was like Bill Cosby, went to school, got a good education, look at your children. Them children be going somewhere on Saturday dressed up. Everybody else is going, rich white folk going to the park. That's what you call a liberation holiday. He's not aware of it. Huh? That was the game. A liberation holiday. Okay, so this show here, you put stuff out there, they can't get a liberation holiday. Huh?
It's uncut. It's pure.
Yeah, and so consequently, when the Bill Cosby thing hit, he was negotiating buying NBC. Oh, that's when he killed his son. You ever ask yourself a question? White folks love Bill Cosby so much. They had commercials, man, where little white children was riding his back eating tapioca out of his eardrums. Daddy Bill. And so, how do they kill my son and I can't get a commercial? No more Jell-O commercial. I didn't kill nobody. My son didn't kill nobody. What's this about? Huh? That's what it's about. He knew something that most folk didn't know. That Mercedes he bought him, they had reboots. They only had them, and anybody can get them now. You get a flat, it reboots its own self. It's technology. He knew that. Plus, you know what kind of fool you got to be to want to rob somebody on the highway? That shit ended with stagecoaches, man. Huh? Cars traveling 30, 40, 50, 70 miles, and you gonna wait out there to rob one?
Okay.
And he
Okay.
gets out and calls a white woman. She shows up in a mini skirt, mink coat, and high heel shoes to help him change your flat. When all I gotta do is push your button and the flat change itself. You don't know that. Then if you look at the police report, I read it all. No robbery. Here's $6,000 cash. All his credit cards, cell phones. No robbery. Then 6 months later, they arrested an American, but he's a Russian immigrant. So he did. When we checked that out, he was in Mexico that night.
Out. Out.
So Bill knows. So now 30 years later, they just busted him. The
Hannibal.
Huh?
Hannibal Buress. Hannibal Buress.
Who?
The comedian Hannibal.
Man, how come you ain't heard of him? They sent him there to do the trick, and you ain't heard of him no more, huh? It's a game. You never heard of him before? You haven't heard of him now. Bill Cosby and his wife wake up dead tomorrow. The world's convinced he committed suicide. You hear me? Discovery Channel. Bankrupt. Bankrupt. Okay? The only thing saved it when Oprah couldn't do it was Halle Berry. Huh? Okay, they are bankrupt. Bill was thinking about. Huh? It's that simple. It's that simple.
Do you want to know the #1 way to stop socialism?
The Pope came to New York, went to Harlem. Al Sharpton wasn't there. Al Sharpton probably one of the most powerful Negroes in America because of the TV show 5 days a week. Radio show 3 hours a day, 5 days a week. He wasn't invited to Harlem at a black school, but he let them use him. Every time something going on with a cop and a black person, they bring him in, but don't give him the respect. Huh? Say, come on to Harlem, man. We got just his friends, the mayor, huh? All that. Huh? It's a game.
Right, right.
Same thing with Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods.
Now listen.
Got busted for the same reason as Bill Cosby. Tiger Woods had to win 4 more to tie Jack Nicklaus.
You hear that?
5 to be the all-time.
You hear that?
Busted.
Yeah.
I know somebody that saw when he came to the hospital. She told me if I didn't tell you this was Tiger Woods, you wouldn't know. It was a mob whooping.
Now look what happened.
Huh?
He is not
So
going
what did they do? They
to
made
take
him
over
say,
Jack Nicholson.
Tiger.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what we got. We got a law called the Mann Act, taking a woman across state lines for immoral purposes. We're not just getting you for that little 17-and-a-half-year-old girl you cared to watch you play tennis or be golfing in Sweden. 20 years. Now let's sit like reasonable people. You can either do the 20 years.
Listen.
Or we can make a deal now. You go back, play for a while, and on worldwide camera, you're going to pull something in your back so the whole world will see it.
What happened?
Yeah,
what
the
happened?
accident.
Eventually,
Yeah, the accident, yeah. He had the accident.
last year, this time, and we talking about
Wow.
2014, he was #1. Today, as we sit here, he's number 270. Now they're already talking about retiring. That's what this is about.
It's part of the fix. It makes me think of Michael Jordan's dad.
And then, listen, he just came back and won in 2019. He just won. They said he came back from nowhere and won another one of them jackets. I think he needed one more or two more to go. And look at that car accident. Tell me that man was not on the money.
He was. He was. Because the
Look
way the car
what
thrust up
happened.
as well.
Yes. Yes.
But we know that the elite, the elite lets them go on for a little while, and then like I was just saying as you was playing, it's like Whitney Houston, isn't it? Like they make them go on and on and on, then they make it looks like a suicide or something happened or something, and then 2 they end up dead or something.
Look what's going on with Serena. She can't win nothing now. Somebody, they don't want her to pass. She can't. She let that young girl beat her. Was it last week or the week before? They want her to retire. And if she doesn't retire, an accident may happen.
Yeah. Yeah, that's how they play, innit? That's how they work. That's why sorry.
This man, it was just amazed when that accident happened. I happened to remember this, so I had to go back and I'm like, oh shit. Oh wow. He had to pick a deal, 20 years in jail, or you better have a back accident. A back injury. Let me say it like that. And look, if he ain't got a back injury right about now, no tell you.
He'll be in jail.
No, but look what happened now, because he won something in 2019. They like, we told you to retire, didn't we? You didn't listen. And he barely got out of there with his life. Not to mind you, they got him hooked on them painkillers. He was in so much pain from them accidents and stuff. He got hooked on them pain pills and everything. Hello.
Another Michael Jackson, innit? And Prince.
Yeah, exactly. And you notice it's right after they sell the masters back. The master like, nah, I don't need you. I don't need you now. That's crazy. But girl, we're going to have more talks. Thank you for being my co-host. You know, I love my co-hosts. I love people that's not afraid to come up and, you know, get their feelings off. And I also love the people that's in the chat that say what they have to say too. But I thank you guys again, and I appreciate you guys, and I don't want to take up too much more of your time. But I don't know what we're gonna see tomorrow. It's gonna surprise the both of us. But y'all have a great night. Thank you so much, Yemi.
Yeah, Angie, you have a great night too, yeah?
All right, darling.